I've done a few conferences and stuff over time. I've attended and I've had lecturers of mine from Lincoln that have been, at the conferences. Usually there's been a few classmates of mine as well. This conference is no different, and some of my Lincoln colleagues are here. This is the first conference, I think, where one of my daughter's colleagues is in the audience. So I guess we're moving along. Times are changing. Some themes haven't changed, however. Now, I'm not a health and safety guy. You're going to work that out pretty quick. I understand farming, and I understand we need to change some things. So I've learned a couple of ideas which hopefully will resonate with you. So let's give it a go. Right, firstly, I'm going to start with some questions. Anyone got any questions? No, I've got a couple of questions. I just want to see if you're awake, right? So, hands up. Who enjoys deer farming? Excellent. I'm in the right room. I just need to check that first. So we've got people who enjoy deer farming. Who likes calling the shots? Who went farming so they could just, not get told what to do? Anyone went farming so they could? I know it doesn't feel like that at the moment. You feel like everybody's telling you what to do, right? I get that.
Well, most of it's the parent.
Pretty hard. You might not have heard that down there. I ain't going to repeat it, but you can turn the volume up later on if you want to hear it. He did say it was. No, so anyway, my question is really around, who turned up here to, who was excited when they saw health and safety was on the menu? There's always one. Catch up. Oh, there's a couple. Of course there is. No, look, in all seriousness, I just wanted to share a few ideas. Like I said, I'm no health and safety technical guy. You're not going to learn anything technical from me. But I'm going to just share some stuff I've learned over time. So, what I want you to do, just for a second, bear with me, because the farm like the back of the hand, everyone's heard that, right? Just take a minute, please. Check out your own hand. I want to see what the story is here, because I'm going to ask you a question in a minute. Right, that was the couple of seconds you were texting or checking your text while you were driving. Make sense? Right? What happened then? Well, who's done that, by the way? Come on, everyone, right? We know we shouldn't, but we still do. So, what I've learned is that most of the time when we do that, we don't crash. Would that be a fair call? Because that's why we keep doing it, right? It's just human nature. We know we shouldn't. We know we get fined. You pull up at the stoplights, or the stoplights here somewhere, I'm shooting, roundabout maybe. You pull up at the lights and you just have a glance either way and you'll see people, on their phones. They know they shouldn't be, but they're on their phones. Why do they do that? Because most of the time we got away with it. And I think that's one of the challenges that we've got with health and safety. Most of the time, we kind of get away with stuff. So, just a quick thing on health and safety in New Zealand. Anyone recognise that? Yeah, a few nods. All right, just to clarify, 29 blokes went to work one day and never come home. Now, I don't know what you think about that, but it's not a really good picture, especially if you're the 29 families. So, some things changed in New Zealand as a result of that day or that period of time. Any clues what they were? Any ideas? What was that? Yeah, that's right, exactly. You're spot on there. What changed as a result of Pike River? Any ideas, any clues? Because some stuff changed. Any remember a guy called Peter Whittle who was like, don't worry families, I'll look after you? Where is that guy now? On a bloody beach somewhere probably. All right, not good enough. Government of the day decided that's not fair. People go to work, they shouldn't get killed at work. And actually some people ought to have been a little bit more responsible because they kind of said, well, that was the health and safety guy, that was the operational guy, and it's not really good enough. So some laws changed, right? Actually, alongside that, there was an organisation created. We didn't used to have it. Anyone know what that organisation was called? Or WorkSafe. Who's had a WorkSafe visit on their farm? Was it fun? So does the guy left. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And look, the problem is health and safety is tainted, right? It's a tainted brand. When people said, what are you doing these days? I said, health and safety. They said, what on earth are you thinking? Why would you go there? I said, well, let's give it a go. Something needs to happen a little bit differently. I'm a bit different. So I hear some things that farmers tell me about the WorkSafe visit, right? You've got to do all this stuff for the WorkSafe visit. What are you doing all this stuff for? Oh, because of the WorkSafe visit. I'm like, what's it got to do with WorkSafe? Isn't it about being safe in our own business? You know, we can learn a lot from the supply chain. You've got some great, processes and stuff here. They're doing health and safety different to what you're doing on farm, right? And if over here the customer's going, oh, no, the stuff's produced sustainably, environmentally, animal welfare, all that stuff. Didn't hear much about people in there, but I'm assuming they meant, the people are not being harmed in the production of this venison or whatever. Like to think so. Anyway, so that's kind of where we're coming from with it. So the WorkSafe visit, it's scary, right? Because the guy's going to come up and I don't know, what's he going to do? Issue a fine or something? Some letter? I don't know. I tell you this for free. You read, back button, read that for free. The reality is you're more likely to die on farm than have a WorkSafe prosecution. You're more likely to get hurt on farm than get some shitty letter from WorkSafe. Snotty letter from WorkSafe. Right? And then people go, oh, do this health and safety stuff because of WorkSafe. Crazy way of thinking. Anyway, that's just, I say it too often. So, I'm going to have to really keep an eye. Sarah's going to give me the 5 minute, and I'm going to try and keep to it because you've got lunch at 12:30. Couple things I'm going to cover. So, what is health and safety on farm? Is it that stuff? Like a lot of farmers think it is, right? I'm going to help you with that. I was going to ask you, but now I'm going to tell you because I'm running out of time. People think it's folders. They think it's signs. Think it's paperwork. Anyone ever thought that? Let's move on because it ain't that. In fact, I'll tell you what, that sign down the corner there, the notice sign, I was a farm manager on a farm, actually not far from here, actually, and for nostalgic purposes, I thought, I'm in the area, I'll just have a wee drive-by, see what the farm looks like now. And 2 road boundaries, so I see quite a bit from the road anyway. I thought, I've got a little bit of time, I'll whip in there and introduce myself. Well, the guy doesn't know me from a bar of soap and my case in the joint or what, who knows? I thought I'd go and have a look. And I drove in, there was a tractor behind me, I drove in there, and I pulled over a bit because I thought, the guy's going to jump out of the tractor. But he didn't, he just roared straight past. He turns out it was a contractor, as it turned out. But anyway, I'm on the driveway there, and I thought, shivers, I'd just seen one of those signs. And I backed up a bit, and I read it. You can see what it says, you can see what it says. And it had his phone number on it. I rang the phone number, and it said, you have reached 027, whatever. Fair enough. Hung up. I thought, well, I've kind of got permission to drive on, right? Because there's a big sign that says, must not enter unless you ring this number. So I'm driving up there. My phone rings. 0324. I recognise the area code. I'm going, I know exactly who this will be. I wasn't, to be fair, that helpful. I just said, hello? And he said, hello? Well, you know how it goes, a bit awkward. You just rang my number. I said, yeah, I've just driven on your farm. He goes, oh, come in. So cool. So I go and meet the guy. He goes, you know what? I've been on this farm 2 years and 3 months. You're the first person who's rung the number. And I said, hang on. So I'm the first visitor you've had in 2 years and 3 months? He goes, oh, no, lots of people come in. I'm like, what's the point of the sign? Why did you spend the money on the sign? Right? It changed nothing. Right? Anyway, that's sometimes where health and safety has ended up with a really bad rep because people think, I'll put the signs up, I've got the folder, that'll keep the WorkSafe guy happy. Forget it. I'm going to just say it this way. I realise you're probably not meant to swear because it's getting recorded, right? But anyway. So one of the things I firmly believe is that the paperwork never saved anybody, all right? You don't actually need any paperwork because people think, I'm going to have the accident reports and report everything and hazards, write all this stuff down. Paperwork makes no sense, makes no difference, right? So you don't need any paperwork if nothing goes wrong in the first place. So that's really what we should be focusing, right? Focus on the stuff. How do we stop the stuff going wrong? So, of course, I do have to say, if stuff does go wrong, you probably wish you had a a little bit of a trail of stuff. And that doesn't have to be paperwork. You can take photos, you can make a note in your diary, you can put on the whiteboard in the thing and take a photo of that. Good luck trying to find that photo later on. So you might want to think about a retrieval system as well as being able to take photos. But anyway, the only other thing I'll add a little bit about the paperwork is, of course, if you've got a farm insurance program and you kind of comply with it to meet the expectations you market, you've got to do some paperwork for that. But let's say we're doing it for a reason that makes sense. On a health and safety side, just doing the paperwork, it makes no sense. I'm going to skip over this because I am running out of time, obviously. But that was my technical health and safety bit. What it is, it's a triangle, and it's about focusing in on the stuff that we can do that will make a real difference. And ultimately, if we eliminate the thing, we don't get in trouble. It can't hurt us if it's not there. And a quick example is the quad bike. The reason I mention this is you look down the bottom of that little red triangle, that's the PPE. That's the least effective way of keeping yourself safe. So if somebody said, oh, this is a really dangerous job here, don't worry, mate, just go and put on some gloves or put on your mask. It's the least effective thing. There's other things you should be looking at first, which is why I mentioned that. Skip over this one a little bit, but I just wanted to make the point, stuff does go wrong on farms. People get hurt, stuff breaks. What we have found, this is from WorkSafe stuff, I just trailed through their website, found some numbers and put it in a graph with no numbers, but it tells a story. Right? Because most of the time, stuff goes wrong because we stuffed up. Right? Most of the time, most accidents. And if you look at it, and I'm sure in this room there will have been a few over time, if you think back to what happened, it was probably preventable, right? If you looked at it, you mean, oh, I did that, then that, then that. Oh, yeah, okay. So actually these things are preventable. It's something that we did that caused it. Now, it's hard to prevent everything, so that's the other side of it. But if we take that premise that it's what we do that makes the thing dangerous, there's some gold in that. So the key is there's so much human error that is actually normal, right? But we've got to have a way of factoring things in that don't hurt as much or don't kill us, is really what it boils down to. So if we think about everything that went wrong on farm, every time there's a breakdown, any time there was an incident, accident, whatever, it's actually because somebody did something wrong, right? You can't doubt that. Somebody did something wrong. Somebody's looking on the text. My son ED works in ED. He said it used to be drugs and alcohol, the reasons that people turning up in ED. It's now freaking mobile phones. People are turning up in emergency departments because of getting sidetracked, whether they're driving or doing something else with their phone. So that's something that we did, right? That's a choice that we're making. Anyway, I mention that because when there was no accident, you could actually just about guarantee that we stuffed up something as well. I say worker, it means farmer, it means person in freezing works, it means marketer, it means whatever it means. But whoever's doing the work stuffed up, right? But we got away with it. So I think that's what makes us really complacent in this whole game, right? Because most of the time we get away with it. The trick is to learn from that. So when we find that something went wrong, we've got two choices. We can blame the person, or we can learn from it and change it. Change it in a way maybe that the next person doesn't have the same opportunity to have the same problem. An example, I'm on a dairy farm. I fall off the two-wheel motorbike. The boss said, oh, the last bloke fell off in the same corner. I'm like, oh. He said, actually, come to think of it, I fell off in the same corner too. I'm like, at the time, I just went, oh, you silly me. I made a mistake. Actually, now knowing what I know, I'm like, hang on. What about that corner could we fix? Why is that strainer post sticking out at an odd angle there? So it's a choice that we've got. So if we look at health and safety as the people are going to stuff up, we are going to stuff up because we're human, let's learn from that. If we're blaming somebody, we can't be learning, right? So we really want to either make that choice. I can blame you all I like. I put my car keys down somewhere. I don't know where they are. I could blame myself all my like, but it doesn't change anything unless I fix it, right? I go and find another key or I go and find the keys, whatever. I fix the problem. So if I blame myself, well, I can learn from it, fix it. I guess that's my main point. The learning actually starts when the blaming stops. Right? So I don't know if there might be a lesson there for you. Hopefully there is. I thought it was pretty useful. Last little concept I want to bring on this idea is that, and actually processors, to be fair, are quite good at this. I did used to work at a processor, so I'm not saying anything out of turn, but there's a big board up there. It said last number of days since somebody got crippled or something, I don't know. So it's all like this, really, it was a whole lot of numbers. It were a bit meaningless. Even somebody got excited about it. Health and safety managers used to get very excited about what was on there and very depressed if the numbers went badly. So there's this somehow idea that you measure the number of accidents and there's somehow some indication of safety. Now, farmers know this stuff's nonsense, right? But in a big situation, when you've got maybe a couple hundred people, one or two things happen a day, and you sort of get trends. But on a farm, one thing happens every now and then, and it's a funny little trend, right? It's like, well, I didn't have any injuries last year, so I'm probably okay. Go and bother somebody else. So we sort of, when I say we, the industry, New Zealand, has got this idea that, you measure safety by almost the stuff that's going wrong. Trick is, if it's not going wrong, does it mean it's safe? That's the question, right? It's a completely different way of looking at health and safety, not about, signs, folders and paperwork and stuff. So it's this idea of a presence of capacity. I'll give you a quick example. If I'm going on a long road trip, I fill up the tank with gas before I head away. Right? I talk about that like capacity, right? If I was going on a long road trip and I had a look and there wasn't much gas in the tank, is that a smart thing to do? It makes no sense, right? There's no capacity. So the idea being, if I'm going to do a big hairy job, big scary job, it could go wrong. If it does, it could go badly wrong. I need extra capacity. And that might be, in some cases, it might be going, oi, I'm going to be in the yards. These guys are a bit niggly. I know the time of the year. How about we team up? Maybe two of us work together, or just looking at it, give it a bit more capacity. Look at it a slightly different way. So this is the thing I want to leave you with, really, is this concept of we're going to stuff up anyway. So how do we stuff up safely? Right? I know you're sort of laughing. You think, what a moron sort of a statement is that? But what I'm trying to say is that if we're going to fail, let it not hurt as much as it could. Quad bikes crack up. If you look at it, it's just bizarre, really, what we've done with quad bikes. My wife's rode a quad bike. I know the danger of quad bikes. I get it. There's these things you can put on, rollover protection stuff. You can wear helmets. You can do all sorts of stuff, right? You can pump up the tyres. All the tyres are the right pressure. Imagine that. Just saying. FMG is going to send out some tyre gauges to people who are not very good at that, like everybody. Anyway, so the idea being the quad bike, the only real safety feature it's got with it, have a test when you get home. It's got squishy guards, right? So if it rolls on you, because they do, FMG tells me they pay out on between 2 and 3 quad bikes that roll over on farm in New Zealand every day. They're about half the market. So there's 4 or 5 quad bikes a day roll over on farm. Not even counting the crappy old one that doesn't go to the, don't even try and claim on that because it's not worth it. I'll just straighten up the handlebars and we'll be away. So 4 or 5 or 6, I don't know how many roll over a day. Now, one redeeming safety feature on a quad bike, it's got squishy guards, right? Roll over, it's on top of you, the guard doesn't cut your leg. Unless you weld some bull bars and racks and stuff around the quad bike, in which case you turn it into an evil machine which will pin you down. I just say that because we're very good at modifying stuff for a reason it wasn't intended. Those things were built for recreational purposes. They're amazing workhorse, I got that, but they're just causing a bit of carnage. So understand that. That's what I mean about fail safely. That's what I talk about. If people are putting rollover bars on things or getting a different vehicle, just going, the quad bike I have fallen off a few times. I'm getting a bit older. It's a pretty fancy forward drive mobility scooter, in all honesty. Let's get into a ute instead. I don't know. So that's where I'm going to leave it. It's about building safety into what we do. It's not to kind of go, next time I'll go and do health and safety or do it on a rainy day or something like that. I haven't met a farmer yet who's got health and safety higher than, I think, 37th priority or something on There's a lot going on. I get that. I know that. So if we can build it into what we do in a way that makes sense and not try and make it some dumb folders and stuff that just really doesn't make any sense, I think we'll be better off. My key messages, if you want to take away, these are what I thought it might be. You'll pick up something completely different. These are the 3 things I thought you might take out of today. We make mistakes. Let's just make sure they don't, fatally or injure us as seriously as they could. Blame or learn. Choice. Right? If nothing else from today, maybe take that one away. That could be quite useful. Because I reckon blaming is the opposite of learning. And the third one is this idea that safety is not the absence of accidents. So if I didn't have any accidents, it doesn't mean I'm safe. It might just mean I'm lucky. Maybe. But anyway, let's make safety a way of doing work. So I don't know, hopefully that's helpful. I've tried as fast as I can to talk fastly. Is that okay? Did we get a few ideas there?